Stephen, can you give us an update on Andy Dalton? Is there any thought process of maybe going with Garrett Gilbert just to see what he has?
Obviously, Andy's got to clear everything as far as concussion as well as, his virus protocols. So, but when he's cleared, then we fully expect him to step back in as our starter. But we don't know that at this point.
Just an assessment of what you got from Gilbert, after being here just 3 weeks and how he performed.
Oh, I thought he was just outstanding. I mean, he obviously exceeded all expectations, and I thought gave us ever chance to win. I mean, he had a tough play there, trying to make a play for us. I think he was actually, going to throw it away, but I thought overall he gave us every opportunity to have success and win the game. So I thought it really played well.
Jory, if you're on the call, go ahead. We'll go to Todd.
Hey, Stephen, as you look at these first 9 games of where you guys are you in this thing realistically in your mind?
Oh, I think we are. I mean, we're playing the best team in the NFL, in terms of record yesterday. And, we're doing it with a quarterback who'd been in our camp for, almost 2 weeks. And, our defense is coming around. And I think we're playing better every week. That's 2 weeks in a row we've put together, good performances on the defensive side of the ball, which obviously has been our Achilles heel. We're still, turning the ball over more than we need to. But, the East is what it is, and we've just got to continue to get better each week and go out there and go to work. I think, obviously defensively, I think we're really starting to get a feel. The staff's meshing with the players in terms of what the expectations are. I think our locker room's really coming together and holding each other accountable. And, I fully expect us to get better each week. And, we're going to play each game and, hopefully improve each week. And, if we can start to, turn some of these, performances into wins, then we'll get right back in it.
And kind of a big picture view here, but when you look at what you guys did in free agency, and obviously it didn't pan out the way with some of the guys that you had hoped it would, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Would that cause you to look to change your approach next year in terms of what you may or may not do, or how you may or may not spend your money?
No, not at all. I think we, when we signed the players that we signed, we felt good about it. Obviously, this has been an unprecedented year with the virus and not really, a new coaching staff and not being able to, work with the guys, especially when you're trying to make a transition into a new system, which we were for. It obviously been a lot more difficult than we thought it would be making the transition, but we do think we're coming around, and you're starting to see some of these players make plays out there. And, I think every year you have to go into free agency and try to fill your needs so you can continue to draft without taking need into consideration. If you look at our top 3 picks, they're, certainly having a lot of production. You throw Baidaz in there, that's 4, starter-type players that, that are playing well. And I think you get to take those guys because you're not necessarily just trying to focus on a need. But we'll continue to do that. We'll have to see what the salary cap's going to be like and what our restrictions are in terms of free agency, but it won't change the way we go about it. I mean, obviously with the injuries we've had this year, no excuse, but certainly has made this team a different team. I think we got more than 40% of our salary cap sitting on IR right now. So we've just got to continue to go to work each week. We certainly understand the criticism that comes with being 2-7. We had a coach around here who I think a lot of, you are what you are, and that's what we are right now. But I do think this team's going to continue to get better, and I think, as we move forward, we'll watch this team evolve and see what next steps are.
Hey, Stephen. I know when we talked to you in August, you said you felt that as good about the talent on this team and where it was in the last 5 or 10 years. There have been some understandable reasons why you haven't been able to reach that level, but given your expectations and the belief you had in this team, is this your most disappointing season in the last 5 or 10 years to this point with the way it's unfolded?
Sure. I mean, it's disappointing. It's disappointing with the injuries that we've had. I mean, it's difficult when you lose your starting quarterback and, the other players that we know we've lost for the year. That's disappointing. And then certainly, the way we've played, especially the first 7 games, on the defensive side of the ball, it was frustrating for everybody, I think, to watch how we played there. But I do think we're coming around, and you've got to take a deep breath on these things, and certainly keep your confidence in the decisions that you've made. And I think, like I said, I think we'll go to work each week. I know Mike started, similarly, very similar in Green Bay in terms of his first year there, and they finished strong. And certainly that's our goal here is to finish strong and compete in the East, and we'll go from there.
Now, I apologize. I had some issues early in case this has been asked, but I know you've indicated that Dalton will go ahead and start coming back out of the bye week. Would you anticipate Gilbert playing again later in the year if you're out of it, so you can get a better look at him going forward, or how do you see the quarterback? What you do at quarterback kind of unfold differently based on like where you are in the standings?
We're going to take each week, David, week to week. And certainly Dalton's got to pass all the protocols, whether it's concussion or virus, to get himself ready to go coming off the bye week. And if he's able to do that, he'll be our quarterback. And certainly we'll just take each week from there.
Stephen, obviously y'all can't negotiate with Zach again until after this season, but have you spoken with him recently, and to what degree is he still a big part of the conversations when you think about where you want to go with this team after 2020?
We really hadn't had any conversations with Dak since his injury. I mean, other than, to talk about just how he's doing physically in terms of his injury and his rehab, but we haven't talked about, in particular the future or anything to do with the contract at this point. Obviously, everybody's been totally focused on trying to get our situation right with our team.
And when you look at what the defense has done the last couple of weeks, where are you most impressed, or where are you most pleased with how they've started to turn things around?
I think our defensive front is, the front seven's probably has been the most impressive. Just certainly being able to, be competitive against the run. I mean, we all know that was our Achilles heel for the first 7 games. We weren't doing a good job stopping the run, and if you can't stop the run, then, you're going to have a long day. So the fact that we've been able to, improve there and then make some plays on the ball and be around the ball is important too. So all those things are important as we move forward.
Stephen, you feel pretty strongly that Mike is the guy going into 2021, regardless of how the rest of this season plays out?
Absolutely. Unequivocal.
And you mentioned it earlier that, it was alluded to Garrett having been here as long as he was. Is that maybe something that we lose sight of a little bit when there's a head coach that's in charge basically for a decade? Maybe it takes a little while for a new voice to take hold?
No question. I mean, you're changing a culture. You change when you change the leadership, and certainly we like stability. That's why we stayed with Jason for 10 years, and certainly we know these things don't happen overnight. In terms of when you turn things around, you throw on top of it that we had an unprecedented environment with the virus and not really being able to get your hands on Mike and his staff weren't able to, have interactions with the team other than virtual. So there's challenges out there, but there's a lot of other new staffs that have, had the same challenges. But you throw that in there, and then you throw the injuries, that we've had to work with, and certainly it's been a big challenge. But we'll continue to, go to work every day and improve as a football team.
Calvin?
Stephen, I know you talked about this briefly, but how would you assess your rookie class up to this point? Obviously, Diggs and CD have played really well for you.
Yeah, I think you throw the top, those, top 3 picks, all of them, are really, playing well or coming. And, obviously Neville, I think, had his best game yesterday. I think he's really starting to get a feel for, what we're wanting out of him. And then, Diggs has had we've from the day he walked in the door, we've thought he could really be a big playmaker for us, and certainly the same goes for CD Lamb. And then, it's just unfortunate with Bidaz that he Biotic that he pulls his hamstring in warm-ups, and I think that was his job going forward. But just part of some unfortunate things has happened with this team, but hats off to Joe Looney for stepping up and doing a great job there. But overall, really pleased with our draft class.
Obviously you guys have been very cautious with your fans at the stadium, but with the coronavirus numbers rising across the country, has there been any discussions with your organization about stop having fans come to the ballpark for football games?
No, not at this point. I think we're doing a really good job. We hadn't had any issues, in terms of any reporting of people feeling like they may have contacted the virus at the stadium. I think we, have really gone to great lengths to follow all the CDC protocols, and I think our fans, all our feedback from our fans is they feel safe being there. So we feel really good about it going forward. Certainly we'll, as we do with everything that has to do with the virus, whether it's the NFL and our protocols with our team, the same will hold true for the stadium and our fans. Safety's first, but right now we feel like we have a safe environment.
Michael?
Avoiding infection was considered a key part in Dak Prescott's recovery from his injury and surgery. Can you provide an update? Has he avoided infection to this point in time? And is there an updated outlook in terms of timetable for when he'll be ready physically for return to the field?
Yeah. Well, this is a 4-month injury, barring setbacks, and so far, if anything, everything that we're getting from Britt and the doctors is that he's ahead of schedule. So yes, he's been able to avoid any setbacks, and if anything, he's ahead of schedule, which shouldn't be surprising. The way he goes after any challenge, it's full speed ahead with Dak, and he's done a great job at this point.
And on the topic, to build off what Calvin was talking about in terms of the rookie class this year, next year, you guys have positioned yourself where you can project to have at least 3 compensatory picks. How central are those picks and overall just next year's draft to building to what the talent level is already here?
Yeah, I think every pick is so important, and especially when you're dealing, with a cap that's going to be, it's going to be challenging at best for most teams in terms of, what the cap may be. I mean, historically, teams are used to that cap going up, and certainly highly unlikely. If anything, it could, the cap may go down. Who knows? So that makes a draft pick all the more important. That's why I mentioned earlier in the call, in terms of free agency and, what our resources are. We'll have to, evaluate that as we understand more what they're projecting the cap to be. And but these draft picks are vital. They're the foundation for, we think, for every franchise, and you need to be right on that. At the same time, we also believe in our strategy of going out and filling as many needs as we possibly can in free agent, and then in the best efficient way that we can possibly do that. And certainly understand we had a few guys that didn't work out this year. That's why we're conservative in free agency for the most part. We don't really want to get out there over our skis in terms of the resources that we commit because, you can miss, in free agency. That's part of it.
Saad? Saad, are you there? All right, we'll go back to David Moore.
Hey, Steve, I know you were saying earlier that you feel this team still has a shot at making the playoffs. Would you, given kind of how you've built over these last 4 weeks and are starting to gain a little bit of equilibrium, would you expect and anticipate that this team should be in the division race going into the final couple of weeks of the season?
We got to take with where we are right now, we're going to take each week to week. Don't want to speculate out and that type of thing. We know we got to, really focus on the Vikings now and, work to get better each week. And if we do that, then those type of things will take care of themselves.
And again, we focus a lot on what hasn't happened and unfolded here, but are there one or two players or situations you can point to that you feel really good about going into these final 7 games or that maybe answer some questions you had in your mind about whether they fit or how they fit going forward?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of bright spots. We love our receiving core. We like our 1-2 punch with our running backs. I think Dalton Schultz has really stepped up with Blake Jarwin being out and makes you feel good about the tight end position moving forward. Obviously, we got some young offensive linemen that are getting a lot of work that wouldn't have gotten work. So we'll, see how that goes in terms of, the full body of work at the end of the year. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you look at 2 of our draft picks, Neville Gallimore and Diggs, and the job that they've done. Leaves you a lot to get fired up about. And then seeing a guy like Randy Gregory out there playing hard and working is a huge plus. And then certainly DeMarcus Lawrence, you just focus on him every play that he's in the game. There's no lack of energy in his play in his game. So, there's a lot of things to get excited about in terms of players. I'm sure I'm leaving some out, but there's a lot of a lot of things to be excited about in terms of who's going to be around here in the future.
Terrence?
Yeah, Stephen, how do you balance competing in this excitement of these players with also the reality that, right now, if this season ended, you think you'd have a top 3 pick and potentially you could be in position for a top 5 pick? Are you guys focused more at the top of the draft and with your scouting department than ever before? How do you balance those 2 realities?
Will's going to do the full body of work with the scouting department, and they'll be very prepared. And he's always done a great job of getting us prepared for that. As far as the football team itself and the coaching staff and the players, it's week to week. We're not thinking about the off season.
Stephen, Mike Nolan took his fair share of criticism, at least from the fans at the beginning of the season. Do you feel like your players are adjusting to this scheme and really starting to buy in?
I do. I think they're buying into it. I think they've got a better feel for it. They're playing faster. As we all know, with players, if you're having to think a lot rather than just cut it loose, then certainly it can, slow your play down. So I think they've certainly becoming more and more accountable to one another and feeling really good about, how they're playing defense and feel like they're only going to get better.
And on that note of your coordinators, I remember after the New England game, Jerry specifically said last year, special teams is 100% coaching. Are some of the impact plays we saw yesterday more what y'all are looking for in terms of what your special teams can do?
Absolutely. I think we got one of the best special teams coaches in the league. Had a few, things that didn't go our way early, but certainly he's putting his stamp on the game. We felt like we won the special teams battle yesterday in terms of playing against the Steelers, and everybody, you were able to witness and see the plays that we made, and they were well designed, and I do think we got one of the top special teams coach coaches in our league.
Hey, Stephen, on Dak here for a second. You guys have said all along you want to keep him, and as Clarence pointed out, depending on the finish, you guys might have a really high pick where you could take a quarterback. With all the uncertainties, with the cap, financial things, everything, is that something that would enter the team's thoughts if this season doesn't turn out, it doesn't improve and get you lower in the first round? Do you have to at least investigate the possibility of looking at a quarterback for 2021?
Dak's our quarterback, and I mean, we're so fired up about him and him leading us in the future. And it's like I said, we're focused week to week right now on getting better each week, and certainly we're fired up about our future with Dak.
And then with Des being back in the league, you might play him here in a few weeks. I know he's a player that you and Jerry have a fondness for what he's able to do. What memories do you have of him and how he came into your team in 2010 and what he was like and how he developed over the years?
I'm sorry, are you talking about Des?
Yeah. Yes, I'm sorry about that.
You cut out. Sorry about that. No, I mean,
Do
obviously.
you want me to start over again, or you got it?
No, I've got it. No, we just,
Okay.
It goes without saying the respect Jerry and I have for Des Bryant. I mean, he came in here, his story's well documented against all odds in terms of, the things he had to overcome as a young man and have the type of success. He'll go down as one of the great receivers in Cowboy history. Just a tremendous competitor, fiery, passionate, helped us win a lot of games. Certainly, I know Tony was certainly thrilled to have him around all the time. So, nothing but positive thoughts when it comes to Des, and so glad that he's gotten another opportunity here in the NFL. He certainly deserves that, and I'm sure he'll make the best of it. I know he just was so unlucky the last time he got his second chance there with New Orleans. So just hope this one works out better for him this time around.
This is another question kind of related to the issue of draft position, but do you feel like the focus needs to be on the defense, or do you all think you have the talent level now to be a championship caliber defense?
We're focused week to week right now, and we certainly hadn't gotten into whether we're going to focus offense, defense, what area we're going to be picking in the draft. We want to get better each week, focus on how we can compete and get better each week.
Go ahead, Calvin.
Stephen, you've had some issues on the offensive line with health and those kinds of things, and Zeke had a hammy in this past game. How would you assess how Zeke has played for you this year?
Well, I think, a lot of people have had, challenges based on the injuries we've had, whether it's the offensive line, whether it's losing your starting quarterback. Certainly the turnovers and getting behind early affect how you're able to play the game. We've seen that the last two games where you can stick with the run. Certainly with us, playing four quarterbacks in 5 weeks, their number one thoughts are to stop the run. And because Zeke is such a dynamic player, and I thought he, gave a gutty performance yesterday coming off a week where he wasn't able to practice, and certainly, had a little nagging hamstring, but I thought he just made some really solid, dirty runs, and I think Zeke's a great player, and just like everybody else on this team, been put in some challenging and tough positions, but he keeps competing.
You lost Tyron and Lyle Collins, obviously, for health reasons. Where do they stand in terms of their recovery?
Feel great. Not unlike Dak. I think they're professionals. They play at the highest levels, and I know they'll do their rehab and work to get back to the same level they were at before they had their injuries.
And just for further clarity on those two, though you expect both Tyron and Lyle to be ready 2021 start of the season?
Yes, absolutely.
Does their outlook, does that factor into maybe being less inclined to move Zach Martin out to tackle, knowing that you confidently expect both of your, franchise caliber offensive tackles to be back in the fold next year?
Well, we're obviously doing what we think's in our best interest to win right now. And, one of the things that you get into is when you start moving a lot of people, then, it creates even more challenges. So we understand that. And, certainly got a lot of confidence in Mike and Kellen and Coach Philbin in terms of the decisions they're making on that. And certainly we'll continue to, look and see what's in our best interest to win football games. So, Zach Martin, I think wherever you put him, is going to play at a high level and, Pro Bowl, all-pro type level. He's the pros pro, and certainly getting him back the last couple of weeks made a huge difference with the offense.
Clarence, do you have another question? If not, we'll just go to Todd. Todd, are you there?
Hey, yes, I've hit unmute.
Okay. You there, Todd?
Stephen, you said a couple of times that you're focused just on the week to week as the season's going along. In the roles that you guys have, do you need to do you just take a wider shot at all during this time because of everything that encompasses what you guys have to do from the draft and free agency and putting everything together for the future?
You're cutting out, Todd. I'm sorry. I got bits and pieces of that question.
All right, I'll try again. You've said a couple times how you guys are just focused week to week, but in your positions, you and Jerry and Will and everybody, don't you have to do you not take a wider view of everything? It's about winning, but you also have to think down the road on things too.
Well, that's certainly that's part of Will's job is, we're scouting college players, and Will's doing, he's leading our scouting department, and they're doing that work, not unlike you would in any season. But as far as what Jerry and I want to focus on and what we want to talk about is the Vikings.
Joy?
Stephen, y'all have had an unusual number of injuries this year, but responding to adversity is something you need from your players every year. Where have they not responded as well as you'd hoped, and where do you want to see them respond better in the second half of the season?
Well, I just think the bigger thing has just been the challenge of, defensively learning a new scheme. It's certainly unprecedented, and not to have quarterback schools and mini camps and, a full training camp with preseason games. Those are all things that help you. That's why we give teams and new coaches extra weeks in those areas. So, the biggest thing I would say is you just wish it could have come along a little faster in terms of getting our hands around what we were trying to do defensively, and certainly we're getting there and feel good about where we're going. We've just got to continue to put games together where we continue to improve.
When you look at what Cleveland and Carolina were able to do so early in the season, do you kind of wonder what were they able to do with their coaching staff shift that we weren't in the first year?
Yeah, we're focused on what we do.